every goddamn week.
Welcome to Every Goddamn Week. I'm Chris LaRose. This is a podcast. There you go. I'm talking about a movie this week called Under the Silver Lake from a couple of years ago. Did not make money, lost money from what I'm seeing online anyway. The director's previous film, It Follows, made like 10, 20 times the budget, and then he made this, which makes it really interesting. And anyway, it's one of those movies that I think one day, people are going to look back on and be like, can you believe it didn't make much money in the beginning and now it's like this thing? Could be wrong, but I think it's awesome. Why? Well, some guy recommended it to me. He's recommended other movies that I've liked in the past, like Fury. He told me to watch Fury. That's a really good one. And then the others, whatever. And but anyway, he recommended this one, and I was like, all right, whatever, go check it out. Watch the trailer. Went, yeah, I'm in. Basically, the way he hooked me was he said, it's like a David Lynch movie. I was like, yeah, right. He's like, no, it is. I don't know if that's true, but it does have a guy from Mulholland Drive in it, so it's pretty cool. So I'm going to talk about this a bunch, but first, I got to do a segment that I do every goddamn week, which is spoiler-free mini reviews. Also, send me money or just a chair, because I want money to buy like a really nice chair, because I'm really uncomfortable. If you can see me on video right now, I'm like fidgeting. I'm dressed very comfortably, but I'm I'm wearing shorts right now, just like chilling. Nice spring day, but this chair is killing my ass, and we just can't have that. Anyway, enough complaining. This is about positivity. It's the only movie review thing ever put on the internet that was about positivity. That's what I'm trying to put out there. Okay, so let's keep it positive. I'm going to talk about a movie that I like, which was recommended to me by someone to whom I recommended the Under the Silver Lake movie. I passed it along to him, and he sort of was like, that was really cool, man. He's Irish. Oh, wow. Oh, I liked all the naked ladies. He does like naked ladies. But anyway, he recommended this movie. I consider it payback for recommending Under the Silver Lake. And the movie is called CBGB, and it's about CBGB. It's about a bar called CBGB where a lot of acts such as Blondie, the Ramones, sorry, I'm trying not to spoil here, so I'm just gonna Blondie and the Ramones. I'm pointing a lot at the camera because I'm realizing it's really fun. If you're only listening to this on audio, you're missing out on some really good stuff right now. Anyway, yeah, it's very hard not to spoil this movie because it's just like, oh, here's a bunch of cool stuff that happened in it. I'll just say it's Alan Rickman plays the guy who creates CBGB, and he gets all of these great bands kind of to play there, and maybe they wouldn't get a chance to play otherwise. That's as specific as I'll get for the story of the film. But how cool is that? Alan Rickman. An Alan Rickman, a movie where he stars. He's not supporting cast. He's the star. And he's playing an American. And his accent is pretty half-assed. But a lot of stuff like that sort of is. Like if you see a guy dressed like Joey Ramone, he doesn't... It's like, yeah, they did a pretty good job. But he's sort of playing like a character version. I find it's more interesting that way anyway. But yeah, really lovable characters, really fun. Obviously, the music is great. Like, that's kind of the whole point. It's just a very good, I find myself looking at lists a lot, and I'll be like, I feel like a punk movie, about, that has like a punk feel to it, or it's about punk rock or whatever. And if you're trying to find one that you haven't seen before, it can be tough. And this was one that I'm like, yeah, if you just like rock and roll, watch this movie. And I really don't want to risk spoiling anything, so I'm gonna leave it at that. Okay. Yeah, go watch CBGB. It's awesome. Go watch Guardians of the Galaxy as well. I don't know. It's not like that's not a well-known movie, obviously. So on the other end of the spectrum, I just rewatched both 1 and 2 Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and we're gonna have to wait a while for that third one. I mean, they're in other movies as well, the Avengers movies. Am I spoiling stuff? Oh God! See, this is why I hate this segment. I think I mentioned on the last episode, like I'm really bad at this. It's like a segment I invented, and I'm so bad at it. Maybe that's the fun. Gets my brain warmed up or something. Let's hope so, because I'm a pretty sleepy boy today. I had 4 days off. This is my 4th day off, and I'm just like really unmotivated. But I had some espresso. I'm going to talk about a movie I really like, and let's go. So yeah, Under the Silver Lake. Kind of, this is the movie that got me to want to do my podcast again. Let's hope the episode's good. But no, whatever. The point is, I can kind of, it reminded me what I like about movies, which is like, and a lot of things that you can be a fan of, I guess, which is just, it gives you something kind of fun to talk about. And this is one that I mentioned. I had recommended it to somebody. I recommended it to a lot of people, and they all they either went like, okay, which was very, oh yeah, sure, whatever, dismissed it. That was rare. Or they said, yeah, I'll totally watch it. And then they did. And then they loved it. Loved it. Just a bunch, over a handful of people in like a week alone. And I'm still getting people to watch it. If anybody's just like, oh, you do a movie podcast, what would you recommend? Or if I just feel like shouting, do something I want you to do. If I just to have a power trip and I just feel like screaming in a smaller person's face and saying, do what I say or I'll beat you up. I'll say like, watch Under the Silver Lake. So point is, I like this movie. And I was kind of hoping to figure out why. That was the same with Lost Highway. And probably a lot of episodes to come. Like, what certain movies, it's not totally clear why you like them. It's pretty clear why I like Guardians of the Galaxy. It's because of like the themes of friendship and the really fun performances and insane visual effects, colors coming at you all over the place. Like it's, and hero's journey, like just fun, heroic superheroes, tongue-in-cheek silliness. I could make 1,000. Hollywood, Marvel could make 1,000. Disney could make 1,000 Guardians of the Galaxy movies. And even if they weren't all that good, they would know what they were doing if they weren't totally incompetent. Or Star Wars, they can make those forever, even if some of them aren't that great. Because, you can't know the formula. But like a David Lynch movie or specifically this movie, Under the Silver Lake, it's like, what? If you ask me why I liked it, I'm like, I'm not really sure. I mean, I could name all the elements like within it, great performances. I mean, pretty good performances anyway, across the board. I really like Andrew Garfield in this. He's really like charming, subtle, not doing anything really over the top, but like kind of guiding you through this weird story. Anyway, enough preamble. As I always say, let's do the podcast. That's my catchphrase. Let's do the podcast. Under the Silver Lake, I'm going to go through the whole plot of the fucking thing. I watched this whole thing again, and I think I've watched it like 3 times now, just in the past month or two. And let's go through it. So, starts kind of weird. It's like, it's hard to jump in because there's everything in this is so tied to other stuff. But that's what it's like watching the movie. You feel like you're diving into something bigger because you see right off the bat they're washing something off of the window in front of like a big front window in like a restaurant or bar or whatever. Restaurant. And it says, "Beware the dog killer." So I'm like, oh, what is this movie about? Like Andrew Garfield has to go find the dog killer. Well, no, that would be super simple. It could get very complicated, but at least you'd know what the fuck the movie was about. Here, whatever. Here, that's just sort of like a bam. Just so you know, this is part of the world that we're entering now. A dog killer, and it comes back over and over. So Andrew Garfield, Sam, who's 33 years old. Interesting. I don't know if that's mentioned in the movie, but I found it in his character profile online. Somewhere. Yeah, he's like looking at it, kind of thinking about it, and then he turns and looks at some girls, and then he walks home. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of him looking at girls, and just him and a lot of attractive women in all kinds of scenarios. So he's walking home. There's this suspenseful music going on. Yeah, I wrote Hitchcockian. Yeah, it's got a feel. I kept thinking of Psycho throughout, especially when he's walking or driving somewhere, especially driving. It's got this kind of like, you know, if you've seen Psycho, you know what I'm talking about. Just like, oh my God, so much suspense and so much driving. And there's just like this nervous energy, and the music adds to that, but it's also very beautiful. I looked up who did the soundtrack. It was like a guy who goes by Disaster Piece, but it's like peace, like not the opposite of war, I guess. Like peace on earth, that kind of peace. Disaster Piece. He made some music for this. Oh, I should find this. I'll find a review of the music. Maybe I'll do that in part 2. Don't feel like looking for it right now. I'll start it off. I'll just shout someone else's review at you. Squirrel falls from tree. I don't remember this part already. I feel like I just watched this movie and I'm like, oh yeah. Yeah, a squirrel like falls out of the sky basically in front of Andrew Garfield, in front of Sam. And it's like bleeding. I think its guts are like kind of out. And it just like looks at him like, this little squirrel puppet. I don't know. There's a lot of wildlife stuff going on here. A lot of animal imagery, metaphors, talking about animals. Sort of like a, well, I don't know. No, it's hard. It's hard to put your finger on, but it's a theme. So, dying squirrel falls to the ground like that, just to start you off. This whole movie, I guess, part of the fun is not really know what's going on. I mean, it's a mystery, but it's like it's a mysterious mystery. It's a weird mystery. It's not just it's sort of like film noir on acid. That's such a stupid way of putting it, but kind of how it feels. I guess. I mean, I don't, on Dream, it's very dreamlike. I guess that's why the guy that recommended it reminded me of, it reminded him of a David Lynch movie. I don't know, whatever. Enough thinking. Let's just go through it and observe the events. At home, he's in this place that I love. This kind of layout. It's in like I've seen like, motels, and I guess this is his apartment complex or whatever. But it's like it's like a bunch of, like a big square around, or a rectangle around a pool. You know what I'm saying? And you like look out your back balcony and you can see the pool, and everyone can see each other. It's an interesting layout and a cool also, and it's his rear window, Hitchcock, and he's looking out there with his binoculars. Is he going to witness a murder? Well, no, he's going to witness some boobs. Yeah, he's got like a cigarette in his mouth. This is great. This is our detective, Andrew Garfield, on a day off. Yeah, he's looking at boobs with there's this older woman, and somehow she's really important to the story. She kind of bookends the story, to spoil a bit. It's like one boob at the beginning and one at the end. And between her boobs is the cleavage that is the mystery. No, but really, I'm not really sure what, I'm still putting together like what it means, his relationship to her means. Because here he's just staring at her boobies and with his cigarette in his mouth. Not the busiest guy, clearly. So I guess she serves the purpose now of kind of giving us the idea of who he is anyway. Oh, and she has this bird, a parrot, I guess, who keeps going like, he says the same thing over and over again, but no idea what he's saying. So this part's weird. Like if you were going to get into a Freudian thing, here is where I don't know what to do with this, but he's looking at this older woman topless, and then he gets a call from his mom. It's kind of weird, right? Like a sort of Oedipus, however you want to say that. Something funny going on there, but I don't know exactly how that fits into the rest of the story. Obviously, like this whole thing is sort of him and his psychological development. I should mention at the very end, or almost at the very end, he mentions to somebody that he carries dog biscuits with him because he broke up, or he had a breakup with a girl. She broke up with him, and she had a dog, and he liked to give dog biscuits to her dog. That's all. I don't know if that's a story that he's making up at the end. Actually, I don't know if that comes up. That might come up earlier. There's a lot of details to this movie. It was kind of hard to get everything. But then it's like, oh, it's all important. Like there's so many details packed into this movie. It's really cool. Anyway, you'll see. Yeah, so that's like all I'm saying is I don't really know what the deal is with like the mom and the older woman. Like why are they linked like that? It's just funny. Anyways, mom's talking, and again, like, yeah, that's the whole thing is like, it's like you're seeing all these things and you're trying to tie them together with yarn. This is one of the more crazy making times that I've had to, or that I've forced myself to sit and watch a movie and write down everything and try and figure it out. This one's a really tough one. I think I'd say it's harder than Lost Highway because I was feeling pretty confident going into that one. This one, I'm like, sorry guys, if I make no sense, maybe that's just the way it's supposed to be. Anyway, so his mom calls. She's talking about a Janet Gaynor movie is on TV. She's going to tape it and send it to him. She might mention that later. Whatever. This Janet Gaynor thing keeps coming up. So as he's watching this lady with her boobs out, a younger woman, more age appropriate, or I guess younger than him, it seems, with a very nice body. All these girls that look like. Yeah, they could be actresses or even models throughout. But the first one that he's looking at is not that. She doesn't fit the mold. She's older. She's not in like Barbie doll shape. Like they even show Barbie dolls like later in the film. Like there's something funny going on there that's kind of hard to put your finger on. Themes of body image and themes of sort of what's normal and what's not, because whatever, we'll get through. We'll go through this. I run the risk of thinking too much before I go through the whole thing, but that's what it feels like watching this movie. It's sort of like you get ahead of yourself, and you're like, "What does that mean? What does this mean?" Whoa. And then it's over, and you're kind of like, "I don't think I figured anything out yet." I figured, I see how this fits together. I see, okay, I got the basic story, but wait, what about this? So I'll try not to get caught up too much, but if I do, it's testament to how this movie tricks your mind. It's neat. Because there's a lot of people, a common thing that I heard from people after recommending this was that it was hard to get off their minds after. They couldn't stop thinking about it. I'm like, that's great. Like, it's fantastic. So yeah, this younger woman and her dog sit by the pool. Her name is Sarah. Yeah. She wears like a white hat and stuff. She's very important to the plot of the story. Older woman with her boobs out is complaining, and she's like, "Oh, sorry, that's as quiet as it goes," about her radio. Thanks a lot. She kind of ruined her vibe here. And it's upset the order. And it's kind of like, okay, so Andrew Garfield is being pulled into this whole, like, he's being strung along this whole movie. He gets brought just here and there, going to all these weird different places, and like, it's like he's part of someone else's agenda. And that's the whole idea, is that everybody is part of like the agenda of the Illuminati or whoever. It's like, just super rich people are putting all your ideas in your head, and and you're like a puppet of other people. You're a puppet of other people's thought. That's why the parrot, the talking bird, whatever it is, let's just call it a parrot. If I'm wrong about that, I don't care. Yeah, he keeps repeating something, but to the point where, it's almost like he learned from another bird how to say this thing or something like a game of telephone, where this whole movie is questioning why you do what you do and think what you think and are who you are, or see yourself that way. Everything you think is real is a construction, and someone put that idea in your head and all this. So what I realized watching it this time is like, oh, if he's being strung along this whole movie, like it kind of starts here. It's like he was directionless, not knowing what to do with himself, and sounds like he's not working. Work keeps coming up and he avoids it. He's like, but here there's this young lady who comes in with a dog. Dogs are important to the story. He gets drawn in by the dog and the girl, obviously. But then there's the radio, and like the music on the radio is an important part of this movie too, like what it's trying to say. So, as far as I'm concerned, like there is some kind of trickery going on here. It's almost like maybe she didn't know why she was going to be in this particular place at this particular time. But like she draws his attention away from the lady with her top off. And that, I don't know. Obviously it's the like first, I don't know, inciting incident or whatever that draws him into her world and everything. That's all important. But I'm wondering, knowing how this movie works and knowing like how this world that it's creating, where there are just forces that beyond your knowledge even or comprehension that you see, I sound crazy talking about this fucking movie already. All I'm trying to say is that, like, I'm not saying someone sent her there like a Manchurian Candidate or just gave her a document and said, go distract Andrew Garfield. It's like, but the chaotic yet orderly path that he's on kind of tricks my mind into believing that like she is there not exactly like a synchronicity thought, not by like divine destiny or whatever, maybe, but like maybe it's some more sinister thing. Like it was planned by some secret guy in a tuxedo who's like, okay, this is going to happen to someone. I'll tell, because there's messages given to certain people and then they're led along these paths, and certain things are revealed only to them. And like, throughout this movie, if you haven't seen the movie, which of course you probably haven't, and this is all super confusing, but I just want to like lay down here right off the bat. Like I'll try not to get caught up in it as much, but I want to lay down right away this idea that like every little plot point, every little detail, every prop is planned out in a way that like creates this like a puzzle that you can kind of fit together. It's really cool. And I'm so like, just today, while taking my dog for a walk, looking out for the dog killer, I kind of I don't know, an idea struck me of like, oh, her coming in with the radio, the fact that she has a radio is significant. That, of course it is, because the radio is important to the movie. Anyway, so just, I'll try not to get so caught up in every little thing, like I'm saying, getting into crazy talk just about a prop here, but like that's kind of like going on throughout the movie. It's really psychologically it's really cool, and it just stimulates your brain. I mean, I'm kind of exhausted after watching the movie, and I was certainly exhausted after writing down every little thing that happens, because I had to ignore a lot. Every little things, posters stuck to, because then you read about it more, and there's like, there are like ciphers in this, and like people have found Morse code and fireworks at one point. I think there's a subreddit for it. I think I saw something. I had some question. I think I found the answer on Reddit, because these guys get so nuts about this. But I'll try and keep grinding through this without getting too caught up in it, or you'll just get like confused and bored, and or maybe like snap and run your car off the road. So on with it. So yeah, so Andrew Garfield watches this girl for a bit, and then the knock on his door snaps him out of it and draws the attention of the girl. Oh, how embarrassing, right? So he's got to get off his balcony, get out of her sight, and get into his place and open his door. And who's there? A beautiful woman, of course. I wrote Fraulein Hot Girl. Oh yeah, she's dressed like a Bavarian, like she'd be handing out big giant beers at Oktoberfest. I don't know what she's supposed to be exactly, but she's like, it's for a part. She's like, she's an actress, I guess, who happens to wear very sexy stuff all the time with like a theme to it. Wonder what kind of actress she is. Anyway, she mentions that it smells bad in there. The first time I watched this, I thought like, oh, he was just stoned, which I think he is for, he just looks like a stoner. I assume he's stoned this whole movie. It's kind of, there's that, I watched a great video about the idea of the subgenre or whatever movie genre of stoner noir, like The Big Lebowski, of course, just like a film noir kind of structure and maybe themes, but with a stoner detective. And then I saw this and I was like, it's kind of what I see here. And he does do drugs and stuff in this movie. A lot of sex and drugs, good stuff. Oh, another one would be Inherent Vice. Let me know if there's any other stoner noir movies that I need to watch, because I am a big fan of this idea of this this style of movie. They're good to get high to. By the way, get high and watch this movie. It'll blow your fucking mind. So they have sex. She mentions that he smells weird, and he says, yeah, there's skunks everywhere. So it smells weird around here, like skunks. So all these little things that add up to a weird atmosphere in this movie. I'll try not to talk about negative reviews, but I read one that said this movie had no atmosphere, and I was like, guy, what movie did you watch? This movie's got atmosphere. It's just not the one you were expecting or wanted. So go watch some Oscar bait. That's not my problem. Yeah, so they're humping. I mentioned an Irish guy that I recommended this movie to, and he texted me while he was watching it. He's like, is it normal in North America to have sex with a t-shirt and socks on? Because that's what Andrew Garfield does. I was like, not really. I mean, go for it, I guess. No one's stopping you, but no, it's not like a thing here. It is weird, right? Like, is he insecure and like just his feet are cold? Like, what's going on there? Who knows? So he's doing her doggy style, just look like a couple of idiots. And she's looking at his Kurt Cobain poster, which is signed, but he's like, yeah, that's pretty recent. It was signed by his daughter. Okay. Kind of, it's just ridiculous. So there you go. He has his hero, Kurt Cobain. That's sort of his idol, right? This movie's kind of like the Twilight of the Idols. I don't know. It really, it like enhances the legend of a guy like Kurt Cobain or like James Dean later on a little bit, and like, I don't know, creates a magical, adds to the mystique around these guys, or women, like Janet Gaynor, maybe. Like, I had a special, like, I don't know who that is, but I sure care about her now. Don't know why exactly, but this movie does that to me. But at the same time, it is like deconstructing. I mean, I guess it's I don't know, just kind of reminding you, like, yeah, it is deconstructing. It's like, look, this is all, manufactured. Like, you wouldn't know about Kurt Cobain if it weren't for TV and magazines and all that. And he didn't make his own TV station. He didn't print his own magazines. Like, he's part of an industry. He talked about this stuff, how he's just part of an industry and could have contributed to his suicide, if you believe in that. It's obviously Courtney Love. No, I actually don't know. But anytime there's a celebrity suicide, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. That's one of the reasons I like this movie. I like conspiracy theories a little bit. It can really go nuts if you're too open about that stuff, and you just take it all in because you just watch people go off the deep end, and then they think, whatever they think so and so is the Antichrist, or whatever, like where they think that vaccines are the mark of the beast, and Satanists rule the world. And I'm not saying I'm 100% on that not being the case, but it's pretty silly to the way people kind of get so nuts about it. But anyway, I think like I'm open to the idea that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. That whole meme, that whole thing, things like that. Like I'm open to it, but at the same time, if you're gonna stay open, you got to be like open to the idea that you might be wrong, or there might be some other explanation, and not just like be open and then like swallow a conspiracy and go like, yes, that's the truth forever. Anyway, but here it kind of, I feel like this pulls you a little bit, like, look into things a bit more, see why you believe in everything, and why you believe the things that you do, and how you filter information, and how it's filtered for you, and things like that. Go read Propaganda by Bernays. See how it kind of shapes your view of how the modern world became the way it did. Anyway, so yeah, they're humping and they're talking about Kurt Cobain, and there's this funny part where, so this guy Jefferson Sevens is missing. He's this rich guy, daredevil, Superman, almost like an Ayn Rand version of like the best man ever. Maybe not quite that, but you know what I'm saying. Super rich and successful and amazing, and his family is like crying on TV. His wife's like, please, we just want to see you again. And meanwhile, like Andrew Garfield and his girlfriend are like having stupid sounding orgasms. It's funny. They're hanging out in bed, just casually in bed. Just a fun, lazy day. She guesses, they're listening to the bird. She guesses that he's saying not a friend. See how like you could just pull that apart? Like, not a friend. What does that mean? Like, why is that on her head? What on her mind? Her head. Why is that on her mind? It's like almost like the bird's like a Rorschach test. It's just weird. Just interesting. Reveals little bits of character that way. Makes it more juicy. She finds an old Playboy of his that looks. You see a similar thing, like it looks like a woman in like water, like all blue. Which, if you've seen the poster for this movie, kind of, There's a lot of like waking little hints. Things are intuitive. I think things you have to have an intuition to be able to connect certain things here, and trying to go about it rationally doesn't work. It's what makes the writing so interesting. Like, watching a character think in that intuitive way, and like it's just neat. Like it's interesting, and trying to, when you empathize with them, which you do, with like these actors and stuff, like you end up empathizing with them and you get into their heads, and I don't know, it makes you think in a different way, and it can make you feel kind of crazy. Anyway, so yeah, this super important Jefferson Sevens guy is missing. Where could he be? Old Playboy, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, the first thing Andrew Garfield ever masturbated to. So that's interesting. Because you wonder, like, porn is used as almost like a psychological weapon, in wars. Like, they'll drop porn on people, or like give them the internet, and then like porn like reshapes their minds, and it's pretty weird. It's one of the freakier things about the last few decades. It's just like you can just get porn anywhere. Like, you can, if you have a device, you can just look at porn, and like you're seeing things that you couldn't even imagine 100 years ago. Probably, well, in a lot of cases, if you just go to any porn site, it'll just, here, you want some really weird shit, it's fucked, but it's normal. It's so normalized now that I don't know. I don't think I know any guys who have never partaken in a little bit of pornography. watching it, not being in it. Anyway, so yeah, he's watching, as he's with this girl, he's watching Sarah. It's really hard to remember all the girls' names, but anyway, she's important. So yes, so Sarah, the dog girl, through his blinds, film noir style. Cool stuff. Awesome camera moves. So yeah, this is how you start a new scene, baby. It's in like the comic book store, and it's cool comic book store. I'd love to go there. And the camera just like whooshes around, like you're following it on this cool path throughout the store. Yeah, it goes like zoop up to Andrew Garfield while he's looking at like just a rack of zines. It turns out, I don't know. So he likes Nirvana and he's into zines. Like, sounds like he's kind of stuck in the 90s, and he's 33 in what was this 2018? So you do the math. So you know he's a bit of Arrested Development going on here. I don't know why I'm Mr. Psychology today. I'm assessing this guy based on his interests, like trying to figure out Freudian stuff with this woman across the play. But that's what this movie does. It's like to help to engage with it and not just stay on the surface, which some reviewers definitely did. You kind of have to grapple with stuff that maybe you're not even equipped to do so. I'm certainly not. Like, I'm not no psychologist. But you can still understand what's going on with a character without being able to articulate it necessarily in the right terms. I don't think I've overstepped this time yet, but I will say now, Arrested Development, I know what that is. And it's that show. And I think he's kind of stuck. He's like a man-child. Next he'll have a movie podcast. Anyway, so yeah, he's looking at these zines, really cool stuff. Gets you excited. It's the most like action-packed camera work you see in the whole thing. And it's neat. And it gets you stoked for this zine called Under the Silver Lake. And he asks the guy at the counter to pass his number on to the guy that wrote it, because it's just like this kind of articulating something that Andrew Garfield, let's call him Andrew Garfield, okay? Maybe couldn't see before, wouldn't let himself see before, but he's like, I think there's something else to my world here. I'm not satisfied with my current understanding of the world. I want to get under the surface, not just look at the shiny reflections. I want to get down into the darkness. Because this Under the Silver Lake zine's pretty messed up, but it involves the dog killer as well. People just want to wash the dog killer shit off of the window. Forget the dog killer. Let's not think about that. It's too scary. We'll go into ontological shock if we admit that the repercussions of there being a dog killer, and that's a word I learned recently. Ontological shock. So it's like it's almost throughout this movie. It's like just having like little dribs and drabs come at him, because if you saw the world as it was all at once, if you live in a society that's like rooted in darkness or whatever, then you'd go into shock, or just whatever. Anytime you have, you think the world is one way and you're relying on it to be that way, and then like if someone betrays you, you have like a mild to extreme form of ontological shock. It could be quite crazy. It could be nothing almost, but something happens in your mind where you thought that person was one way and that you could relate to them in one way, and then after that, your world's different. You go, whoa! It can really mess you up. It's handy for understanding this one, because like Andrew Garfield is looking at the world through a lens that gets like wider and like clearer, and he's seeing his funky little world in a spookier and spookier way until he sees too much and just has these moments of so here but here he's being like strung along. We're not at the shock level yet. He's looking at it in 2D in this comic book form, which is it tells him funny little things. Like, I don't know if it's here or when he reads it later, but there's a part where it explains the dog killer thing, where there's like a failed actor who blows his brains out on camera and films it, in like the silent movie era, which is like Silver Lake, I guess they say was kind of formed around this old silent movie industry. And this guy was a failure, and he said he blamed dogs for some reason. Like he was like, until there are no dogs, we're all cursed or whatever. Which made me think of Charles Manson, like the whole pigs thing. So, but looking at it kind of sideways, kind of from like, this is a funny little world that's constructed here. Anyway, so dog girl Sarah is in her big white hat, does this cool like noir shot where she walks into the frame and she's got like, you can just see lighting on her face and it looks very striking. Oh yeah, and Andrew Garfield is feeding her dog a treat, a dog biscuit. Her dog's name is Coca-Cola. So it's really showing you like, okay, what kind of person is this? What kind of people live in this world? And you know what? I have a Coca-Cola t-shirt, but what am I going to say? I bought it years ago. I have a very old Coca-Cola t-shirt. I still wear it. But it's just kind of pointing out like how just obvious kind of, how corporate of a world we live in, where this beautiful symbol of machine called a dog is named after like this gigantic corporation that makes sugar water. So he's giving him a treat, and she invites him inside for a drink. She actually admits she saw him spying on her, asks if he was masturbating. He's like, no, I wasn't masturbating. They get stoned. See, stoner noir. Watch TV in her bed. Wasn't he just doing that with the other girl? They're watching How to Marry a Millionaire. So just like hot chicks and millionaires. That's it. It's meta, man. She mentions how she's so super special because she likes eating saltines with OJ. Yeah, so do I, actually. You're not special because you combine two common things. But he's like, oh, wow, no way. You're like super unique and awesome. So adding props to her. I don't know why, like saltines and OJ, but I guess just because they're familiar, but they start to feel weird in the context of the movie. He gets this little like shrine going later. It's really weird. Got like the Playboy and pictures of girls and stuff, and he like jacks off looking at it. And the saltines are like on his little, I think they're there on his little jerk off shrine. This podcast is not for children, by the way. I should have mentioned that. Whatever. It's called Every Goddamn Week. I always say, I've said twice that there's basically a swear word in the title. So if you don't like swearing, this ain't the podcast for you. Because I'm edgy. Movie. So yeah, she likes saltines and OJ. They become close. They have sort of like an intimate moment, and they're going to kiss, and it's actually starting to get a little bit real. And then her roommates come home. Girls and a pirate. You want to talk about unsolved shit in this movie? There's a pirate in the movie. There's just like a hipster guy that dresses like a pirate kind of. He wears like a pirate hat. I think does he have an eye patch? I think so. Maybe I just filled that part in my mind, but pretty sure. He's like a pirate guy. I don't think you ever find out who he is. Someone says he's anonymous later. Weird. Anyway, he goes outside with Sarah, and there are fireworks in the sky. This is where apparently there's Morse code in the fireworks. And he's like, oh, late in the summer for fireworks. Must be more leftovers. I just found that so interesting. Like, you look at these beautiful, amazing explosions in the sky, and you're like, yeah, they're leftovers. It's like the parrot thing, or the old movie that his mom was watching, or even the older woman. Like this, that word leftovers just stuck in my head. I gotta get some water. Thank you. I forget that I've been talking for 45 minutes. So these fireworks are leftovers, and it's like, no, they're miracles. They're beautiful, but they're just like, oh yeah, sure, so casual. Everyone, it's like everyone's on don't give a fuck juice. Even if they're exuberant about things, they look up at fireworks and think leftovers. It's like, no, it's a magical moment, bro. So his Mustang. I like Mustangs. They're really heavy. You think they're going to be kind of faster than they are. Anyway, but then you get into one and you're like, this is a tank. I watched one earlier. Could barely go over a damn speed bump. It looked like he looked stupid. I'm like, maybe I won't get a Mustang. I don't know why I'm cramping on Mustangs. What am I saying? I like them. Anyway. So yeah, he's driving his little Mustang, or he's about to, when he realizes someone has drawn a sizable penis on the hood. It's like the worst, right? Damn, shit. He's so mad, as one would be, and he puts his hand in the door handle, and there's gum underneath, and he gets gross, like sticky gum on his hand. Yeah. And then there's these two kids that look like 12 or whatever, doing the type of shit I did when I was 12, which is be a little asshole. I never did this though. They're like peeing on cars, smushing eggs on cars, drawing wieners on them, just vandalizing cars. Why? I don't know. They're kids. Not totally sure what they're supposed to represent, but I like that what they reveal about Andrew Garfield here, because he just walks right up to one of them, just punches him in his stupid little face. I wrote, beats up those damn kids. He makes one eat an egg. He shoves an egg in this kid's mouth, kicks them. They're crying on the ground. And I got to give some context here. Right before I watched this movie, like the day before, I had my car parked at work, and someone came by and slashed one tire on every car in that parking lot, including mine. And I was really, really mad about it. So when I saw this, I was just like, I thought I had let it go. I was like, I'm a grown up. I can let go of stuff. I don't hold any grudges. I don't have any resentment. And I saw Andrew Garfield punch a little kid in the face, and I was like, yeah. Just projecting everything onto that. The guy, apparently, someone saw my tire got slashed, and it was not a little kid. It was not a child or teenager even. It was like a older guy with like a big beard and long hair. So that guy's out there. Anyway. But hey, that's the thing, huh? So that was a terror moment, ontological terror or whatever, ontological shock, where I went like, I thought I could park my car here. Now I know that there are crazy people everywhere. Like, I knew that, but I didn't. When you see the risk become real, or like, when it freaked me out. It was I lost my cool, man. I was like, oh man, I was like, I'm gonna take like the rest of the day off work. Sorry, I can't do this. So here, this guy's kind of I can imagine what's going on here with Andrew Garfield, where he's going like, I can't even park my damn car. Like, I don't know if that's what they were going for here, but for me, it was like, yeah, it really shakes your world when someone messes with your car. Same thing in Pulp Fiction. It's like, some guy keyed my car the other day. It would be worth it to catch him. It'd be worth him doing it just to catch him. Yeah, everybody brought that one up when my tire got slashed. By the way, it's like Pulp Fiction. It'd be worth him doing it just to catch him. Yeah, but no, because that was really annoying having to get a new tire and stuff. Anyway, so yeah, he's Jefferson 7. They're starting to reiterate shit here. Jefferson 7's stuff on TV. Yep, got it. Comic goes on about how Silver Lake used to be called Edendale, silent films. Oh, yes. So this guy wrote, no one will be happy here until all the dogs are dead. So this crazy idea, he kills himself. I think one thing that I like to think about is that's relevant here is like ideas and what the fuck is the nature of ideas. I don't know. But they're here it's illustrated in a cool, dark, very appropriate for film noir way, yet kind of quirky at the same time. Guy shoots himself, says this stupid thing about dogs. That idea is no longer in his head. It was transferred on film to someone else who is now killing dogs. That is the claim of the zine. I'm not, and there's something cool going on there. I mean, it's not nice that dogs are getting killed or that this guy killed himself, but it's cool that what it's trying to illustrate here. It's like a film put a horrible idea into someone's head and caused him to create real negative change in his environment and in his society. He's killing fucking dogs. Assuming this is true, but whatever, let's say it is. It's just sort of like to illustrate a point. Got it? The power of media. Yeah. And then you think about all the, well, just think of times when you've seen people die in media and how it affected you, because it's always weird watching it affect others and to reflect on and to see in real time like how that affects me, because it does, and it's a really powerful tool. Anyway, so is Edendale cursed? Something about secrets hidden under the Silver Lake, and then Andrew Garfield peers out through a bunch of weed smoke and goes, "Under the Silver Lake." It's a good one to watch when you're really tired or, well, if you're stoned. Probably. Or if you have drinks. There's lots of... This movie's just about indulgence. I think that's why it's part of its... It just keeps you drawn in constantly. Like a lot of movies, you can have deeper stuff and more nebulous questions and head scratchers. But if you keep it kind of, if there's enough kiss, kiss, bang, bang, and jiggly stuff in your face and vicariously enjoying a beer or a drug, then, it's fun at the same time. Why can't shit be fun and weird and deep? And a mind fuck. It could be all these things. A lot of the best movies are. Anyway, trail of dog biscuits. Yeah, this is weird. So he's following a bunch of dog biscuits, and he gets to... It leads him to almost like a zombie version of Sarah. She's eating flesh or something. She's like blood on her face, and she's barking, and it's just a dream. But the barking women thing, I feel like the director or whatever, the writer, oh my God, I forgot his name. I'm gonna have all these facts and more in part 2. I feel like he's just like, I want to make a movie where girls bark at the camera. That'd be cool. Because he does it a bunch here. Yeah. Wakes up TV. Oh, something about gassing dogs at the pound on TV. Yeah, there's just constant stuff about dogs dying and stuff. I don't know. I guess there's a weird feel to this movie because of things like this. And he still has the gum on his hand. What the fuck, man? Wash it off, huh? So Andrew Garfield goes to Dog Girl's place. That's not her name. Sarah's place, and it's empty. Bald landlord guy is very grumpy. He's like, look, I don't know. She moved out. Big deal. She moved out, and it's his landlord too, because it's like they're in the same, rectangular apartment complex, motel area. Yeah, and this guy's going like, well, look. And he's like, well, she didn't even say anything to me. And he's like, well, maybe she didn't like you. And, oh, by the way, you have 4 days to pay rent. Ticking clock. Good writing, guy. That's how you spice it up. Good news, bad news. Ticking clock. These are writing devices. It's good stuff. So, yeah, Andrew Garfield's got to pay his damn rent. He's got 4 days to do so. Oh, yeah, one thing I really like about this movie is that there aren't a lot of jumps forward in time. It's like Andrew Garfield has 4 days to do this thing, and you're gonna see all those days. I think morning, daytime, evening, nighttime. You see all these different parts of the day. Pretty cool. Yeah, it just makes it feel real. Makes it feel like a real world, and it's not. It's really stylized, and it's some of it's plausible, but it's a bizarre mindscape, basically. Sweet, but it's grounded in this, like, the time feels real. It is realistic sculpting in time. TV, Jefferson Sevens, blah blah blah. Oh yes, so now they found him dead. With some dead women. One of the women is Sarah, so this is where things get fucked. I think, I hope I didn't. I hope I have the. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I think I got this right. You know what? If I have this out of order, I'm super sorry, but is what it is. So let's just say this is what happens. He goes to the bar. Topher Grace is there. His character's name is like Bar Buddy or something, Bar Friend. He's just, that's his role. He's like the guy that he drinks with. Yeah, I think this is next because Andrew Garfield sneaks into Sarah's place. Everything's gone basically, but he does find her vibrator, her pink vibrator, in a box, right? In her closet, yeah. And he sniffs it, of course. But also there's this funny shape on the wall, like almost like two diamond-shaped eyes, very simple, like looking out at you on the wall. Pretty weird. So he follows these girls in a white car. He's starting to see funny things, like he sees, he's looking at a scoreboard and he sees like 751. He writes that down. He draws the symbol. He's starting to do his like almost like schizophrenic detective work. It looks like it's kind of what this movie feels like. Cause I don't know, I've never been schizophrenic, but it's similar to kind of the if you ever read what they've, like a schizophrenic, how they think. I don't know. Maybe I'm totally off on that, but it's got that feel to it where it's like, oh, you're seeing meaning here where I wouldn't, and oh, it's just an intuitive thing, but it borders intuition is one thing, and that's a huge part of what makes this movie work. But also, it you know, there's that mental illness side of things where it's just like, whoa, why are you writing stuff from a scoreboard down, dude? You're going crazy. So he follows these girls to these docks on this pond, or on the lake, on the Silver Lake. I don't know. I don't know this fucking area, guy. You gotta explain this. Red and blue clothes. Yeah, there's a bunch of that. I don't know. I just think that's interesting. We got Spider-Man in pursuit of the truth, and he tends to wear red and blue. Sometimes other people do too, but no, he's like, he'll wear like just like blue jeans and like a red shirt, and it looks very like, it's like when everything in this movie has like a little wink to it. It seems like, are you kind of being like, haha, he's Spider-Man? I don't know. So they deliver some bag to the pirate guy, and he like scampers off in a really funny way. They go to like, they get like a paddle boat and give it to him. Some more stalking at night. He ends up going up into this building, and he goes up to Purgatory. It says there's a party, and there's bad poetry, some nice music. This is the Jesus band. So yeah, Jesus and the Brides of Dracula. And a groupie's going, Jesus, we love you. Very obviously a very deliberate choice to make this guy called Jesus. There's a bunch of kind of like imagery of him like this, like with his pants off and stuff. Like I'm doing like a cross sort of thing, but it's not quite. He's being like beat up at that point. We'll get there. So yeah, Balloon Girl. I wrote that here, and I looked up the cast, and that's actually her character name. I like that. A lot of these people don't need names. Just define them by their character. It's fine. They're unreal characters. Like, she does this crazy dance, covered in balloons, and just this endless like la 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 la, that kind of music, popping balloons on her. Girls at the pool are talking about Jesus, quote unquote, fucking the brides, and he's just like going through all the girls in his band. I don't think that's the real Jesus. There's this real like mocking aspect to this guy, and it's like I don't think that the intention of that is to mock Jesus or Christianity exactly. It's more like these guys are co-opting that like an entire religion for their shit band. Like that's what it is, right? It's at its simplest, because that's what happens. Look at Madonna even. She's like, oh, I'm gonna wear crosses and stuff and call myself fucking Madonna and have all these, have all this religious imagery, but it's in the service of this shit poppy bullshit garbage stupid music. Sorry if that's your favorite, but it's like it's just not that big a deal compared to, say, an entire religion. So it's kind of funny to how everything gets eaten by this entertainment machine, right? Yeah. Barking girls in wigs in the ladies' room. Get out of here! It's the ladies' room. Have you seen this girl? Oh, I'm a detective. Alan, his friend, shows up. He's sort of it's like he has two male friends. He's got his bar friend and his party friend. This is his party friend, Alan. And it's one of the McPoyles from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I love this guy. And he's so funny in this. He's just very like, yeah, I'm down for whatever. And yeah, I'm wearing a blouse and whatever. Like, let's go have fun. I like to meet girls. Blah, 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 blah. Secret solo show cookie. Yes, he gets they're like, oh, there's a secret solo show that's just one of the girls in the band, I guess. And so you have a cookie, and you can't take a bite out of it. There can't be a crumb missing out of this little cookie because it's your invitation to get in to the solo show. It's kind of a neat idea, actually, but with a funky, funny, sort of creepy. I don't know. It starts making me feel weird. Actually, when we go to the show later. So Jefferson Seventh's daughter, Millicent, is there. They all find out that everybody is finding out via their phones that her dad, Jefferson Seventh, has been found dead. They found it's for sure him, and he's with these women, and they're all dead. I don't know if we know this yet, but Sarah was one of them. I'll just say that. The missing girl was with Jefferson Seventh when he died, and she died too. Crazy. So the comic zine guy, he doesn't. I don't think he even has a name. Maybe he does. I'm pretty sure he does. I think his name is like Comic Guy or Comic Fan or something. I'll call him the zine guy. Why not? And he's in Mulholland Drive. Won't spoil that scene. Go watch it. Go watch the Winkies scene. Winkies Diner scene on YouTube if you want to see something cool. He's in that. Not in the movie very long. Oops. That's not spoiling anything. So the scary silhouette in park scares Andrew Garfield. He runs and hides. Skunk sprays him. Fuck. So that's gonna haunt him, right? He's haunted by stink. Yes, that definitely. I have the. Oh, thank God. I thought maybe I read the wrong side of this page at the wrong time. I got a number of these guys, but hey, whatever. I'm a little rusty. All right. Yeah, anyway, so Jefferson Seventh found with dead woman. This is fucking important. So yeah, he sees that her hat, Sarah's hat, in this evidence bag, and it is mentioned that a dog was with them as well. So he puts two and two together. Oh no, the girl that I liked, who had a dog, is dead, and she died with this rich guy, with some other ladies. Or did she? We'll get to that. So bath scene. Yeah, so he got sprayed by a skunk because he's in the bath. And this is like, I'm sort of stating the thesis in a way. It was the most important part to me the first time I watched it anyway. I was like, what he's saying here is like, if you get one thing from the movie, it's this crazy rant. And it's frustrating because his girlfriend or whatever, who's dressed like a nurse this time, a naughty nurse, she reads about the owl's kiss. Very important. This is also in the zine, the Under the Silver Lake zine. The owl's kiss is a naked gal who comes in and like dances in your home and like I guess seduces you. and wears a owl mask the whole time, and then she kills you. She's like, that's so stupid, that's bullshit. Blah. And then she mentions like all these celebrities dying right after that. Is this movie trying to give me a secret message about why celebrities are dying? Fuck, I mentioned Alan Rickman earlier, my spoiler-free mini reviews segment, and I remember when he died, it was just like another celebrity died. Jeez, shit. It's weird when like a string of them in a year. I remember everyone was like, "This is the worst year ever," and then like 2020 happened. Take that, 2016 or whatever that was. I remember everyone being like, "This is the worst year ever." 2016 is the worst year ever because of like Donald Trump and celebrities dying. And then 2020, it's like, no, this is the worst one ever. Can't wait for 2024. So yeah, he goes on this big rant about how elites, rich people know stuff that we don't, and they use media to communicate secret messages. And he just does this. This is where I love his performance here, because he looks so crazy, but he also just looks like a guy who's in ontological shock. He's realizing in his comfy bath, smelling the best that he's smelled since he got sprayed by that skunk. He still stinks, and he's going like, why? Like, are we just supposed to just think that all of this media just has one purpose? Is it just for one thing? And I'm like, I've said this, after if I'm just having a particularly crazy day, or if you listen to the radio too long, I find this happen to me. I'm like, why are they still playing these same shitty songs? And I know there's reasons. I know there's mainly like financial reasons. There's here in Canada, you have to play a certain amount of Canadian content, and you get what you get. There's like a lot of factors. I get it, but like, there really are baffling questions that you start to come up with, and one of them really is just like, why is this being presented to me? I have to mention this one thing. There's an entertainment company called Chorus Entertainment, and I remember looking into this because I had a hunch, and I'm not saying they're an evil company, but I was like, chorus, I bet that's spelt not how I think it's spelt, like not like chorus, like the chorus to a song, but some other way. And I looked it up, and I was right. It was spelt like Corus, I think. And I looked it up, and it was like some god of excess and something. I just remember that, just be like excess and like a gluttony sort of thing. Like it had that kind of feel to it from when I was reading it. Whatever. This is like me being paranoid, looking too deeply into things. But then when but there is that. I'm not saying that that's like some evil company, but that was like an extreme that company owns a bunch of radio stations, and like, so I keep hearing the name on different radio stations, like a Chorus Entertainment Company, and so I would look it up, and I looked it up and went, oh, this is kind of creepy. Like, not only does this same company is it deciding like kind of which music is going in to my ears, independent of if I choose this station, not every station, but several stations. It's just weirding me out. And obviously, like, yeah, you look at how many corporations own all the media, and it's not that many, and it can freak you out if you think too hard about that. And if you know how, yeah, I mean, come on, like, it is silly to think that you're not being like manipulated through media, because you are. That's what ads are. That's the obvious answer. It's like, well, yeah, there's ads. Like, of course you're being manipulated. But that you are, and you go, well, I have free will, and I can decide whether I want to buy Crest toothpaste or Aquafresh or what. But the idea is, no, actually, like the fact that, like, an example I like to think of is like every sitcom is, well, not every sitcom, but you think, when I say sitcom, what do you picture? Is it a family that lives, in a house in the suburbs? Is that what you're picturing? Because it probably is. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's the general. Or it's like, urban people who are single and they fuck a lot of people. That obviously is like the demographic watching that is going to be like that. resembles me or who I used to be or who I will someday be, whatever. Then you have How I Met Your Mother, which is like this kind of mix of both, but like there's these really, the message behind the message is like oh God, I'm getting into Marshall McLuhan, but no, like the background there is the message. It's saying like, this is normal, this is normal, this is normal. If suddenly every sitcom was about assassins, then like we would see more assassins. That's just like the stupidest thing I could think of right now. But like, I don't know. Just that media is manipulating you. This is just one example that I can think of. And that's fine. It's also just in the case that I've just laid out here is sort of more like it's perpetuating something that already exists. It only becomes harmful, I guess, when it's things like, Frank Zappa talks about this in a really good interview where he talks about how Married with Children is a toxic show and there are so many shows like it. And there are guys like Al Bundy out there because of the show and because of other shows. Like with me, it was growing up with The Simpsons all the time, and I was like it's my favorite fucking show. It's the fucking Simpsons. But there it is again. There's like the stupid dad. Dad's stupid. Your father is stupid. It's like, don't respect your dad, don't have a positive male role model, to the point where if you say positive male role model, a lot of people, well, maybe not a lot, but yeah, a lot. I don't know what percentage exactly, but some people will be like, well, we don't need any more of those. There's no such thing even, it's like an extreme, just like hatred of men and that's just one way that like it can kind of screw things up. Because like, what if you have a kid? What if I have a kid? And he's like, well, and his conception of me is based on the dads on the TV. Like, it can be whoa, right? I don't want to be seen as like a Homer Simpson or an Al Bundy, right? But the problem is that I could also watch that. It could infect my mind, and I could unconsciously become sort of a Homer Simpson or Al Bundy, because by the way, I'm just parroting basically what I'm regurgitating, parroting fucking what's his name, Frank Zappa, in that one interview. Maybe I'll find a link to that. I'm just gonna write Zappa because yeah, I think that's a really good example of kind of what like a realistic example that I see in real life of media changing people's perceptions of themselves and of the world in a way that's spooky and doesn't make me feel great. But you could see its usefulness too if looked at from the right angle. And then you kind of can ask yourself, like, who's behind that? I don't know. I'll tell you one thing though. I was thinking this, and then I saw this movie, and then I was kind of like, oh, it's interesting that something that, it's cool to know that other people are thinking about this too. Like, it was just, I would bring it up with people and they're like, haha, crazy conspiracy theory. And I'm like, no, I don't know. Like, whether there's anybody pulling the strings, like, you have to understand that the media you consume affects the way you think. That's just true. Like, it's just true. I don't, at the very basic level, that is always going on. Anywho, where was I going with that? Oh yeah, and then as I'm starting to get like paranoid after watching this and just for the first time, and then I watch it again and I'm going like, oh yeah, I'm gonna start looking more for these things out there. I bet there's secret messages everywhere. And then like right after that, there's a new, this is a little while ago, because there was when did this song come out? Doesn't matter. There's a new Foo Fighters song on the radio called "Waiting on a War." And I remember hearing that, and it's like, I've been waiting on a war since I was young. And I'm like, what are you doing? What's going on? What? The Foo Fighters are singing about, Dave Grohl's singing about how he wants to go to war. Like, is that what's happening right now? Am I hearing that on my fucking radio right now? And meanwhile, it's Dave Grohl too, so it's like he was in Nirvana, and this movie has Kurt Cobain stuff in it. You know, like, this is me kind of going like, whoa, that's crazy. If you're like me right now, obsessing over this movie, thinking about an isolated incident after about, I don't know, 2 cups of coffee and a fair bit of espresso, like, yeah, of course I'm going to go, wow, this is fucking crazy. But like, I don't know. Maybe it's all nothing. I don't know. But I will say the reason I'm sticking on this scene so much is that like his incredulous face as he's going like, how do people not think that like that they're being controlled by media? How are there people out there that don't think that? And I include the internet, me, Chris, talking right now. I include the internet. Like, I'm influencing you right now, whether you love or hate me, if you're neutral, I mean, whatever, I guess. But like, if you totally agree with what I'm saying, and you think I'm super awesome, then that's going to affect you one way, hearing me talk. If you think I'm a total shithead and you're watching this so you can write a shitty article about me and expose me as a total asshole or whatever, then like that's also going to affect the way you see the world. Because if I suddenly say, if you hate me and I say carrot sticks are yummy, you're never going to eat a carrot stick again. You're going to be like, I'm not going to do it. Fuck Chris LaRose. Suddenly carrot sticks aren't being bought. People are eating zucchini bread instead. Too many carbs, but they think they're getting vegetables, but it's just zucchini bread, and this suddenly everybody's fat. Real physical change in the world just because I put out a podcast. Sounds impossible because it's a ridiculous example. But, that's on the other end of things. Okay, I'll move on from the bathtub scene. I just thought it was interesting, okay? And the girl is like confused, and she's like, what the hell are you talking about? Understandably, because this is so outside of her. Like, she has a life, and she's not interested in this. That's one thing too I should mention. Like, he doesn't seem to work. He doesn't seem to do much. He doesn't seem to have a lot of obligations, Andrew Garfield's character. And so his mind is freer than most. The rest seem to have their little agendas, and they're more at the mercy of forces around them. Not that he's not. He's being sucked in by this too, but his mind is able to be a little more free and go outside what the rest of the people here are stuck in. So anyway, moving on, for God's sake. So dream barking girl in pool. Okay, right. Following girl. He sure does that a lot, doesn't he? He's following a girl's bum. He's just an animal. But I think that's sort of the point, isn't it? It's like, yes, you are being manipulated by media and other, well, mainly media, depending on how you define media, but print, all this stuff. The world around you is manipulating you and controlling you, and like it's going to use real simple tactics sometimes, like what do you call it? Your sex drive, lust. Bums. He's just following a butt, and that's how he ends up going where he's going. I don't think it's a funny scene, but it illustrates the point here. Anyway, so they see the beware the dog killer spray painted again, this time on the ground, on the concrete. And they're all talking about how weird it is, and they're going, what's that smell? Because he stinks. Oh yeah, the girl earlier left because he smelled so bad, and because he's weird. His car gets towed. This guy's like, yeah, you didn't pay your payments. Sorry. Sorry, buddy. Yeah. He's walking, kind of moving on. He's funny. Just like he's like upset for 1 second, and then he's just like, yeah, anyway, so on with life. And he sees this billboard with this girl on it. He seems to recognize the girl. We see her later. So Zine Guy, yeah. Again, I don't think he has a name. We'll just call him Zine Guy. He offers him a beer. Like yeah, whatever. He had called him, invites him over so they can talk about zines and whatever. Offers him a cold beer. Hot day, cold beer. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. I haven't had a cold beer in a few days. Something about cold beer. The weather's starting to get warmer. It's just like, man. Water, you're pretty good, but you could be better. I'm saying. Anyway, so these life masks. Pretty weird. I think the movie didn't need this, but I'm glad it was there. And I think it is important ultimately. There's so many things in this that are important ultimately, but on the surface, you're kind of like, why is that in the movie? Like, why is that relevant to the plot? And I guess maybe it's not. It's just more in line with the themes, whatever. But the point is, these life masks, as he calls them, are like plaster masks, like molds of faces of famous people, as opposed to like a death mask, as opposed, that would be on like what makes me think of, I hadn't made this connection before. Yeah, so these are life masks for, like, say, Abe Lincoln, Johnny Depp, whatever famous person you can think of. And that's as opposed to death masks, which I thought were fascinating even as a kid. This idea that you die and in your coffin, instead of just like, there you are with makeup on your face, they put like a mask of you over your actual dead, rotting face. Cool. And of course, like, sarcophagi are rad. Let this be sort of an unofficial video, Will. I want a death mask when I die, unless I preserve particularly well and I just look like more handsome than I actually am. That would be great. But no, like a stylized, extremely handsome version of myself over my actual face would be great. That's how I want to be remembered. Thanks, guys. And then burn all other evidence of my face. Yeah, he was like the most handsome guy ever. Look at his mask. Anyway, so yeah, he explains this, and then he's like, I really need a family. And you're like, yeah, you do. You're lonely. But then he says, so I have someone to leave all these to. This movie's funny. It's a comedy in a way. It's a dark comedy is what it is. Like tone-wise, what would you compare it to? Like Dexter? I don't know. Something like that. Out of all the things I can think of. Yeah, so he shows him the symbol, that funny double diamond symbol that was at Sarah's place, and it means stay quiet, which Andrew Garfield is not doing. Now, either of these guys are conspiring together. They are breathing together. They are talking to each other about this subject, whatever it is, this mystery. And I'd love that it's a zine that, by the way, that brings these guys together. Like the idea that this guy's just an artist. This is the other thing too, I think, actually, that I'm just kind of figuring out that should have been obvious, was that, like, yeah, you don't have to only consume corporate media. You could make your own stuff, or state media or whatever. The if you're worried about such and such, if you're worried that Disney's trying to scramble your brain or whatever, or like, you think that, say, I don't know, just what. Regardless of all these bath rants and all this stuff, you can just make stuff, and it might in this case you can even expose the nefarious things that are being covered up by the mainstream media, especially with the internet now, right? We don't need zines, but in this case, I think it's a cool way to kind of link these guys, because you have two dudes who are just trying to unravel the threads here, or trying. What you know what I'm trying to say here? Trying to see beyond what everyone else is seeing and get the real story. That's what it is. Trying to find out the real story of the place that they live. And they're not getting it from the mainstream media. They're getting a bunch of candy and boobs, which he gets into here. So it's kind of cool. It's just neat. Makes you want to start a zine or a podcast. Yeah, stay quiet symbol, though, is what that means. And it's hobo code. Look into hobo code. You'll go down a rabbit hole, I swear, because hobos are like the most fascinating thing. If you have any like books or even movies or whatever about hobos riding the rails, that would be just great. Because I just after watching this movie, I looked up hobo codes and hobo conventions. They all get together in one place and they have a hobo king and queen, and it's a hard life, but they're free, and like, it's just, hobos are just neat, man. I'm talking about traveling hobos. I'm not talking about because I've met them too, and they're always really weird. I met some during COVID, and they're complaining that they can't go. And I'm not saying like they ride the rails or whatever, but like they're just traveling people who just get around as cheaply as possible. They're not, and they do it their whole lives until they're like they have big gross beards, and it's amazing. And then you have like city-based homeless people that just stay in the city, and it's a whole other thing. This movie gets into that a bit. Anyway, hobos are neat. And he's like, they have this whole code where it's sort of like, you write this on a fence, and it means like the people here are nice, or like, get the hell out of here. These people are going to kill you for being a hobo and stuff. They're hobophobic. That's one joke. You get one joke for the episode. It sucks. So, lost and found signs. Yeah, he's like, look, I've been studying these lost and found signs, and there've been way more of them for dogs. Yeah, no shit. But then he says like, but also for these other things. Like, oh, okay. Yes, and he brings up the owl's kiss. I see why that guy said this is a Lynchian movie, because the owl's kiss is like Twin Peaksy as shit. Also looking for a missing girl, sort of like trying to find and then she ends up dead. It's like it's Twin Peaksy kind of story. Twin Peaks-ish. Anyway, so he explains that the owl's kiss has something to do with it. Like I said, this naked woman who wears an owl mask and kills you. And he's like, you got a dollar bill on you? Classic, just like stoner conspiracy shit. Like, look here, man. I think of Half Baked. Jon Stewart is like, you ever look at the back of a dollar bill on weed, man? Like, that's what this guy's doing, where he's going like, look, there's hidden messages on the dollar bill, and one of them is this little owl face always looking at you, and you're like, yeah, I guess. But then he goes on this great, I love this actor, man. I can't remember his name. I feel like an asshole. I guess I am. But he goes on about how there's hidden messages everywhere, and hidden contracts in the form of user agreements, and it just does the thing where it just shows you like a bunch of ads with sexual innuendos in them, and I'm like, yes, subliminal messages, like the most fascinating thing, right? And one of the things that I couldn't get off my mind was hamburgers or boobs. And then I was like, that's kind of weird, because he's showing like this woman with like her boobs are like under the hamburgers. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. And I was listening to a podcast that was going through these different it was about psychology, but it was through this weird lens. It was like a certain model that was similar to the Freudian model, but anyway, of like where there's different circuits in your mind, and the infantile circuit that gets you like it's just like it's how you thought when you were a baby. Just like how you thought when you were a baby. It's like the infant circuit in your brain. Which is like I everything is wrong now because I don't have what I need, and mommy is gonna give it to me. So you think about this, you realize you can manipulate people into doing what you want them to do, like buy something, if you stimulate that part of their brain. So if you have like boobs, for example, associated with delicious hamburgers, it's like food, boob, got it? You're a baby, give us money, and then you get delicious secret sauce from the boob. Totally messed up, but we know it's true. And like, in that, so I was listening to this podcast about that, and it was funny because it's kind of like, this is starting to remind me of Under the Silver Lake. And then this guy's like, there are certain shapes even that like different circuits are attracted to, and that like light up when they see certain things. And it's like, the infantile part of your mind, that part of your brain is going to light up when you see like with something round that's warm, like a boob. So, that's a hamburger. I mean, shit gets on. Like the only thing you need really to sell a hamburger is a picture of a hamburger, because not only are they delicious to eat And if you go to the right place and you don't go to McDonald's, you don't get diarrhea too bad. You might just get a slight bit of indigestion and depending on the fast food joint you go to. I just can't eat that shit anymore, man. I'm an old 30-something and I just can't eat the McDonald's no more. It sucks. Can drink lots of beer though. That's good. Anywho, anyway, I totally get what this guy's talking about. It totally makes sense. It's like, we all know it's true. There's all these things that I think I keep going in circles about that you just know what I'm talking about if you just sit with it for a second. And then mainly if you, instead of thinking about it, just pay attention when you're going out there. Look, think about the McDonald's M. It's two boobs, like, or a butt. I mean, what else? What, am I crazy? It's like McDonald's ad this fucking episode. I can't eat that shit. Gives me diarrhea. Oh, man. How much longer in this part of the podcast? You can really watch me for age. I love this. I love doing this. Anyway, serious time. Let's figure this out. Yeah. Ooh. So he says, ideologies you assumed you developed through free will were actually implanted by subliminal messages. This is great. This is like Alex Jones without all the like screaming and all the just nonsense and the lizard people or whatever. It's like InfoWars. Who controls the information that goes into your brain? I'm coming at you. I'm like a raccoon in your garage. That's something he said. Alex Jones is nuts. He's sort of the, I don't know. He's the other end of this type of thinking where it's like you can just get people to believe nonsense and sell them, just to sell them stuff. He sells water filters and super male vitality, which will give you the Alex Jones physique. Go look this guy up. You don't want to look like Alex Jones, but he sells like fitness and health products. It's funny. Anyway, but what this guy's saying makes a lot of sense. Of course, it's like if you see 1,000 movies depicting a certain type of relationship or a certain whatever, like you can make people believe anything you want through media. I keep saying the same fucking thing over and over again, but this movie is saying it better than I can. So yeah. He just nails it here because the ideologies you assumed you developed through free will. That's the really spooky part, is sort of the being told that, like, if you think that propaganda doesn't work on you, like it definitely works on you. And if you think that you just came up with all your thoughts that are in your head, you're just wrong. It's coming from around you. When you were a baby, you didn't know anything. When you were a baby, you didn't want a hamburger. You wanted a boob. But then you saw hamburgers and boobs together, and now you want a hamburger. Like, that's a very simple example that I keep coming back to. But it's part of a bigger thing, which is sort of like if you take two different people from two very different societies, they believe different things. So don't assume that you're this like free thinker who came up with all of your opinions and that look, this person just happens to have the exact same opinion that I do. Isn't that crazy? It's like, no, you've probably watched the same movie when you were 5. Yeah, I don't know. The whole idea is sort of, what I really like about this movie is that it challenges you to analyze this and be more aware of why you believe what you believe and challenge it and get to the bottom of it and see if you can fill it in with something better. Because when you do that, you probably improve your life and yourself. So there you go. So Andrew Garfield asks if some messages are just for some people. And he says, of course, it's as common as tits and hamburgers. So he shows him his cereal box. Very important. And he's like, the map on the back of the cereal box is to scale. And it's leading me somewhere. I just haven't cracked the code yet. And there's what? Secret something? Oh, yes. Secret room. Secret security room. So he has like this special room that he keeps secret because he's like, I just figure people are watching me all the time, So I have my own security system in here. And I keep all the gadgets in this secret room so that nobody even knows about the secret the security system except for me. Comes in handy later. Yeah. But his cereal box is very important. Now, meanwhile, more spying is going on. Yeah, so this is funny. I thought about this today. I was like, isn't it funny that like Andrew Garfield is like Mr. Detective Man in this, and his friend Topher Grace, his bar buddy, shows him his drone, and he's like, look, with my drone, I can fly around and I can look at people I can look at women take their clothes off. And you'd think at some point Andrew Garfield would be like, this drone might come in handy for my detective work. But no, they just watch a lady take her clothes off and cry. Topher Grace is really interesting here. Bar buddy, he keeps saying things like, sorry, I have a message. Do you want to come with me to the dog park? No, I'm doing a podcast. Bye. So Andrew Garfield keeps saying that he is saying to Topher Grace that he feels like he's living the wrong life and that he's being followed. Topher Grace is like, that's totally normal. It's part of modern life. Like, of course you feel like you're being followed. You probably are. I personally have had some weird stuff happen where, like, I don't know. It's a little weird. It's hard to explain, but there have been times where I'll turn around and there will be someone filming me, for example. And I go, probably nothing. Maybe it's a tourist who's just filming something and I happen to be around. But this has happened like outside my house. Like there was no reason. And it was right next to a white van. This is the most recent example of this. It doesn't happen very often where I'd be like, get to the bottom of this. But every now and then something funny happens where I'm like, are there people collecting information on me through not just the normal means of my internet searches and, what I say when my phone is around, maybe they can tap in. Like, are there people just spying on people all the time for like no reason or reasons that I can't understand? Like maybe I'm just on some list because I went on the wrong website at one point. Who knows? I have no reason to, it wouldn't make any sense, but at the same time, like, you got to wonder, right? Like what, when taking people's data is so interestingly, and like, it's such a topic of interest and such a controversial thing all the time, you got to just kind of, it begs the question, like, who the fuck cares? Why do you need my data? So you can make a better product for me? Or is it to control people? Like, what's going on there? Have you had enough crazy talk for one episode? I mean, that's what the episode is. Anyway, so they're spying on this woman. And Topher Grace says, yeah, we have way too much info out there and our little primate brains aren't designed to take this. So we just, we go nuts. Quite frankly, it's like there's too much that we can't process. There's just too much of it. That's, I don't know, interesting way of looking at it. But it sounds like he's just constantly trying to be like, don't worry about it. Have another beer, man. Look at some boobs, man. They watch the woman cry. It ruins everything. Andrew Garfield's like, yeah, I'll see ya. So Andrew Garfield goes to a movie, kind of like a drive-in movie, but it's at like a graveyard. And it's kind of just like I don't know, looks like a not super interesting indie movie with like a romance with young people. Oh, can I get a smoke from you? Blah, blah. But there's this pretty short-haired girl in the movie, and then she's right behind him with some hipster guy and some other girl who's also in the movie. He's like, oh yeah, you girls are movie stars. Yeah. I really like the short-haired girl. Very charming. Like sexy too, but like I don't know. Just also like cinematically very neat. Like there's a close up here where like Garfield goes over to them and he's like, oh, you gotta get the girls in the movie. And they're like, yeah. And then it shows like a closer shot of her face. And she's like, do you like the movie? And there's like, you want to talk about mystery, just like some of those little line deliveries. You're like, what? What kind of human is this? I don't quite recognize the tone I'm getting from. And then they just like giggle and they run off with the hipster guy, and they get in the car with the pirate. The pirate is with them. And they're acting more just like, we're having fun. They're wearing little shorts that I really like. Those shorts need to make a big comeback. If they haven't already, I just haven't seen them very often. Anyway, and I didn't notice this until this time I watched it. I don't know how I missed this, but the grave that they were like leading on the giant gravestone, it says Hitchcock. It just says Hitchcock. Like, kind of funny because how like Hitchcock would put, he'd do a cameo in every movie. And here he's got almost like a dead cameo. Funny. Oh, the music too it gets very Hitchcock. Oh, I mentioned that already. Anyway, yeah, Hitchcock vibes all over the fucking place. And then dead Hitchcock right there. That's so funny. I love that. Anyway, Pirates in the Car. Oh, yeah, so the secret show. He got that cookie so that he could go to the secret show. And he, there's like a guard there, a doorman, bouncer, fancy-looking bouncer. And he's like, oh, you got to take a bite out of that or I can't let you in. So he stuffs the whole cookie in his mouth. And it's never made totally clear what's in there, I don't think. Maybe I missed something. Maybe it said on the cookie or something. But I was like, oh, it's probably just a weed cookie, right? But then later it's, I don't know, gets a little weirder than that. I'm assuming it's weed, but who knows? He just gets really, really messed up on this thing. So yeah, and then so this is an interesting concept. I like this party. I've never had to do this, but it's a neat idea. It's like you have to eat this psychoactive cookie in order to go into a party. And once you get into the party, it's like there's religious statues everywhere. It looks kind of like you're going into a weird sort of church / art gallery. And this girl, one of the girls in the band with Jesus, I guess. She says that she's dedicating this song to the man that taught her everything. This is for Jesus. I wrote, I hate her. I really do, man. I don't know what it is. I think she sings this little song. She just sings the first couple lines and it gets stuck in my head sometimes. Probably more than their actual like hit song, quote unquote, by the fake band. And it's just sort of stupid. It's just stupid little like girly song. I don't know. Maybe it's just not for me, but and also I'm primed to not like her because she's saying like this is for Jesus and she means this dopey rock star. And it's just like, ugh, get over yourself, everybody. Ugh. I get a real reaction to this. I don't know what yeah. If I'm alone in this, whatever. I don't give a shit. She pisses me off. Go sing your shitty song somewhere else. All this build up so you can sing your shitty song. I don't know why I'm being so mean to this person, this character. I guess I don't know. I guess because it's like, yeah, you got to take a psychedelic or you got to take special weed cookie, and you got to get in the right headspace, man. You got to walk into this place and there's, it's all this big party, but it's almost religious and it's so that I can sing a stupid song. Blah, 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 blah. Fuck you. Went to a lot of bad shows over the years too. And I'm not saying this is a bad show. This would probably be like a crazy, trippy show. I'd probably enjoy this if I went to it on some level. But such a funny choice to do the whole Jesus thing. Anyway, it's like these guys should all just go to church if they want to, if they want to get that Jesus worship on. It's like they want to do it without doing it because it's not cool or whatever. Or whatever, because they want to just be hedonists and have their Jesus too. Anyway, so Alan, his friend, is oblivious to how extra strange stuff is, but then he drops this bomb that girl he hooked up with, this crazy girl, she says that there's a message in the music of this shitty band. Balloon Girl is there. She's got her balloons. Garfield buys her a drink, asks if she's seen Sarah. She takes him to the basement. She and her friends, such an interesting I don't know. She's talking about how like, oh, we just get this tiny little window, she says, to like enjoy our bodies and enjoy ourselves and enjoy sex and drugs and whatever. And I'm like, does she mean life itself or does she mean youth? Because it feels like she just means youth. That's how I interpreted it. This idea that it's like, yeah, when you're young, that's the whole point. And, you just want to be young forever or live forever. Either way, you're not going to do either of those things. So you better find a different worldview at some point along the way, because this idea that like you're only going to enjoy yourself for a little while and then after that it's like fuck, that's not sustainable. You'll have a crappy life eventually if you think like that. You just can't keep the party going that long. And she's like aware of that, but she's accepting it. It's interesting. It just gets my mind going. It's neat. Anyway, so they dance. She's pretty fucking shallow and not very bright. She's just like, we should fuck. Oh yes. Oh yeah. And she's like, I don't think that there's really a message in a message. No, or there's no hidden message. Why would Jesus put a message in a message? Which is funny because like the actual Jesus spoke in parables. That's like that's basically like a message in a message if you think about it. Anyway, I don't know if that was the intention of that line, but I thought it was funny. So anyway, Andrew Garfield he's had too much cookie, and now he's gonna throw up, and he does. Oh, he chases what? I guess he thinks he sees Sarah. He chases her through the graveyard. Crazy visual effects. It's just like warping and something you do in After Effects in about 5 minutes. That's fine. Makes it feel Hitchcockian. Simple camera effects. Very, very good. Simple, whatever. Just simple. It's like whoa, a dolly zoom. I'd never seen anything like that before. Or whatever. He would do that with his movies. He would use like one effect, and here it's like, yeah, it's like the only not like in camera effect that I can think of in this movie. Could be, maybe I'm totally forgetting something, but whatever. Anyway, so he passes out in a graveyard, wakes up with beer cans around him in a graveyard. It's funny. His mom calls him. She's sending him the Janet Gaynor videotape, and he looks up and there's Janet Gaynor's grave. Oh my God. All right. He looks at the photo of Janet Gaynor's face, and then he sees, so it's like just her face. And then he sees the billboard, and there's like this, I don't know, it creates a funny connection, a weird abstraction within the film, going from this Janet Gaynor picture to the billboard. I don't know, kind of showing the echoing or rhyming nature of media. Even though it's just two pictures of women, I don't know. It just does this funny thing where it connects these 2 points in time. With relatively little, just a picture of a woman, or of a woman from back then and a woman from now. It's neat. So Topher Grace plays Mario. I've been meaning to play some old video games. I was actually listening to old video game music earlier. That's apropos of nothing. Well, whatever. I mean, it shows I get some nostalgia from watching this movie. It's interesting. It's neat. And the kind of places where these guys are at. Seems like I was saying, they didn't really mature too much, that since they were quite young. They just come off as like teenagers, basically, like perpetual teenagers. Yeah. So, and then Topher goes on about how there's a generation of young men looking for mystery because there's none left. He goes like, yeah, of course, you used to be able to go out into the woods and find something new just by going over the next hill or whatever. But no, not so much. We're bored, we're stagnant. We're going in fucking circles here. It's a copy of a copy of a copy. And so instead we get obsessed with secret codes, or like finding secrets within a video game. He's clearly drawing the parallel here. It's kind of neat. The game isn't interesting anymore. We're trying to find It's like Andrew Garfield's not interested in work. He's not interested in paying his bills. He's not interested in these mundane things, because he's just too busy looking for the secret tunnel. You're looking for the secret level. It's neat. And relatable. I mean, shit, life gets boring. Whatever, man. I'm trying to find more meaning in a movie that I've seen 3 times. Like, I get it. It's just part of modern life in this funny way. Like the way we consume media is so nuanced and neat. Anyway. So I'm not really. I just think that's a neat. He loses the game. He gets sad. It's a neat little scene. Andrew Garfield tries to figure out the mystery some more. He plays a record backwards, like the Jesus and the Dracula bitches. So he's jerking off on his funny little shrine of like Playboy and other stuff. And then he's got like a hooker ad for was it like Star Shooters? Shooting Star, and it's like just like something you'd see in the back of a magazine. These girls looking sexy and like looking right at the camera, and one of them is the short-haired girl that he likes. So he has her over. He calls and said, "I'd like the short-haired girl from the ad, please." He gets her. He's quite pleased. Why wouldn't he be? She comes in, starts taking her clothes off. And he's like, "So what's the deal? Like, why? How come I'm watching you in a movie, and then you're also like you're like a sex worker?" And he's like, he doesn't say that. He says, "You're doing this." She's like, "Oh, I need to." Just like, look. She spells it out. It's like you get recycled, you get used. She's a leftover, right? This is kind of illustrated in that she's like, "Do you have any food?" After she's been like kissing on him and stuff. He's like, "Yeah, there's pizza in the fridge." I love this shot of her just taking the pizza out of the fridge and eating it. So many. I haven't talked a lot about the actual filming of this movie. Because it's a whole other thing. Maybe it'd be cool to just do like a commentary track where I'm going like, "This is a cool shot. Well, that was a cool shot. This is cool lighting. Wow, look at that." Because there's something so, I don't know. It's so clear in my head. Like there's certain shots that just stuck in my head. And one of them is just this short-haired gal opening the fridge, taking out the pizza and taking a bite. Why is it so interesting? I don't know. Okay? It's just visually cool. It's like the Mona Lisa to me. I just can't stop. No, but it's neat. There's a bunch of these, like when his car is being towed and it drives away. I could break that down on a more technical level, why I like it, but some things I just go like, it just looks cool. I don't know. It's just magic. It's like, why are dragons cool? I don't know. Archetypes. Anyway. Yeah, so he's ordered her, and he's ordered her like a pizza, right? So I guess there are reasons why the pizza, like she's a leftover and everything, and so there's layers going on here. But if I just took the shot itself as well, it's a cool shot, and I'm not sure why. But anyway, the context does help give it meaning. Like, and everyone's very casual, and they're just casual about the social norms in our funny little society here. I wrote "so hot." She is. Yeah. Oh yeah, she saw Sarah once in a glass cube at a party, so she was kind of a girl for hire too. But then she goes over this whole thing about how it's shooting stars for has-been actresses. It's like, girls who are apparently even nominated for Best Supporting Actress, and then you can order them to fuck. So, which is really creepy later. I want to remember that because there's a line, almost like a throwaway line later, because it's just sort of ignored, but it in conjunction with what she's saying here, it's pretty creepy. It's to do with Balloon Girl. We'll get to that in part 2, I think, or maybe even right now. Anyway. No, I'm going to wrap this part up really soon. Yeah, and then get on to part 2 for the rest. Because exciting stuff is yet to come. So, big rich street party she talks about. Yeah, there's this, she's like, oh yeah, I went to this party and like, you know, we're just free to roam around all these rich houses, go into any room. We couldn't go into this one house, and this songwriter lives there. It's just so funny hearing from characters like it's very film noir. Like you got to have some hookers in there. I mean, it's just, it helps. It's a classic element to just film noir and gritty, really any gritty movie with anything kind of urban and gritty. It's like and then there were some hookers or anything with crime too. You got to have some hookers in there. He was shot by a hooker. It's just hookers. That's why I feel funny saying sex workers in this context, because I'm like, they're just characters in a movie. Like she's a hooker with a heart of gold. That's what this gal is. These are tropes, guys. Anyway, so we'll leave on a little cliffhanger here. Mainly just got to point out that she mentions this house that she couldn't go into at this street block party for super rich people and their hookers. And the songwriter lived there. Must have been some song. Yeah, you have no idea, Andrew Garfield. So he goes to the zine guy's house, and he committed suicide, according to the cops. I don't think so. Cop says he was like, oh, he's a pretty fucked up guy. It wouldn't surprise me. Based on the faces on his walls. Andrew Garfield checks out his secret room, though, and he watches his security footage, and guess what? The owl's kiss is there. Super creepy and sexy. Like the film itself. Yeah, so that I'm going to leave on that little cliffhanger. So, scene guy, dead. Owl's kiss was in his house. Yep, naked lady in an owl mask. Like he pauses it, and it's like owl mask looking right at you. Pretty creepy and a little spooky. I love it. Treasure hunt cereal box is right there. He's gonna steal that, and he's gonna run away. And we're gonna get to that in part 2. I gotta take a little break here. So thanks for listening so far. I'll be back with part 2
every goddamn week.